What's up guys and welcome back to my channel, and if you're new here then welcome to our little corner of the internet. I'm quite excited for this video. It's titled 25,000 versus 25 million dollars. I'm guessing this is a money comparison in America, which will give me a little bit more insight of what money is like in America. So yeah, I'm excited to see this. I don't really know what it is about yet, so let's just dive right into the video.
This is what a $25 million a year salary looks like versus a $25,000 a year salary. About 20% of Americans live on this amount of money or less. I want to show you the lifestyles of people who make this much money versus
About 20%.
this much money, and everything in between. The reason I want to look at these differences is because of this graph. It's going up, which is a problem. Let's start with $25,000 a year.
All right, so let's say my name is George. I live in Atlanta, Georgia. I am single and I have no kids. And I'm looking for a job. After some searching, I found this job as a security guard at a TV studio in downtown Atlanta. It'll pay me $12.50 an hour, which is quite a bit more than the minimum wage of $7.25 an hour. Let's assume I
$7.25 is the minimum wage? That's quite low. I mean, I think in Spain the minimum wage is 1,200 euros, which would be around $1,300 a month. But most people don't get paid that. Most people get paid around 800 euros a month, so like $850 a month. And it's nearly impossible to live on your own here.
work 40 hours a week, and I work every week except 2 that I set aside for holidays, sickness, and vacation. This means I make $25,000 a year. At this level, around 29% of Americans earn as much or less than me. So how will I spend it? This comes out to be just over $2,000 a month that I have to spend. I gotta pay taxes. That brings me down to $1,764 to live on this month. To calculate this next part for this income and all of the incomes we're looking at, I used some data from the US Bureau of Labor Statistics that shows that people in this income bracket spend about 41% of their pre-tax income on housing. I've got about $850 for all my housing expenses. That's nearly half my after-tax budget. I'll definitely be renting instead of owning a house at this budget. A lot of landlords these days require you to earn 3
This video is so well made once again. Wow. Very good quality video. This is free to watch on YouTube. That's crazy.
times more the monthly rent. So I'm probably gonna need roommates if I'm gonna get approved for an apartment. All right, let's look at Craigslist. I really can't afford to live downtown, so I'm gonna look in the outskirts. And I found this place right outside the city. This is gonna work, and it's within my budget for rent and utilities. So how am I gonna get to my job, which is in downtown Atlanta? That's 20 minutes away from where I live. And like most American cities, there's not great public transportation here, so I'm gonna need to have a car. Let's just
Wow, that's crazy. I didn't even think of that. No, here you could go anywhere basically with a bus or train or metro, and in Finland even better.
say in this assumption, and it's kind of a big assumption, that I already have a car. And let's assume it's this car. It's a 2004 Toyota Solara that I got on Facebook Marketplace. Lower income Americans spend more on their income for transportation than any other segment of the population. The data we'll use says about 15% of pre-tax income is spent on transportation. So that's $313 for gas, insurance, parking, and saving up for maintenance and repairs. We gotta be pretty careful about how much extra driving we do and hope that no big maintenance issues arise. According to this BLS data, I spend about 15% of my income on food. That includes both groceries and eating out. That's $313 a month for food. A lot of people think that this income bracket just goes to
That's a very small amount on food. I wonder how expensive food is there.
McDonald's all of the time. But the reality is the average order amount at McDonald's is between $7 and $8. So that will not get me through the month. That will get me through 13 days worth of food. So I gotta go to
$7 to $8, that's it? $777? What do you get with $7? What? No, we need to pay at least double to get a hamburger and a drink.
So that will not get me through the month. That will get me through 13 days worth of food. So I gotta go to the grocery store. Unfortunately, in most lower income areas in this country, there aren't a ton of grocery stores, and the ones that are available are much less likely to carry fresh produce or other nutritious food. So I'm gonna see what I can do by stocking up on beans and rice, peanut butter and jelly, Wonder Bread, Top Ramen, freezer meals. For fresh options, I'll be looking at potatoes and some of the cheaper produce, and no eating out, or rarely, occasionally, on special occasions, eating out. If I do, I'll be looking at the value menu at a fast food restaurant. I'll be looking for discounts, checking every price in the convenience store. Okay, but wait, don't I get government assistance for food, like food stamps? So from my research, I can see that to get government assistance, I need my savings account to be less than $2,000. Check. My income needs to be lower than $19,578. And I make $25,000, so nope, I don't qualify. Okay, so we've covered our basic needs of housing, food, and transportation, but I still have a lot of expenses. We hear a lot about healthcare being a massive personal cost in the US, but what does that actually look like? Georgia's Medicaid website says that I qualify for government help, but even with that, I will be paying around 10% of my income on health-related expenses like medicine, doctor visits, getting care that isn't covered by this government insurance. This is one of the reasons why people in my income bracket live around 7 years less than the richest Americans. After all these main expenses,
That's crazy.
I'm left with a small amount of money for everything else. And there's a lot more that I need to spend just to live. Laundry, internet connection, cell phone. Conservatively, that adds up to $105, not taking into account the overcharges and hidden fees. Like, you're starting to see what's happening here. This doesn't add up. Entertainment, fitness, and travel just isn't feasible. I have no emergency savings, no rainy day fund, and live in stress of an unexpected car repair, a health emergency, any of these unexpected.
I absolutely hated it when I was making maybe around 800 euros a month or something like that. And then, people would be like, just save and save. Yeah. With what money? I'm like putting water in the shampoo bottles to get more shampoo to wash my hair. With what should I save? Like, it's not that easy. It's annoying.
Expected charges could be a major setback. I'm probably gonna have to join the huge number of Americans that rely on debt to get through the month, whether that's credit card debt or short-term loans with high interest rates. Maybe I'll need to move back in with my parents or take on a second job. Maybe I'll start driving Uber or DoorDash. But what's clear is that my full-time job, which pays much more than the minimum wage, is still not enough to make it through the month. I'm gonna pause the video really quick. I'm excited about the sponsor of today's video. It's the first time they're sponsoring a video, and it is Headspace. I started using Headspace over a decade ago when I was at college, and I was first getting into meditation, and I love it. Headspace is an app, but it's also just a general guide for people who want to get into meditation. I'll read this. It also has the meditation like today's video.
See what we can do with 40,000.
And with that,
Headspace is actually pretty good, guys. They have like free, well, not free. If you have Netflix, then you have like little meditation things on Netflix to sleep and such. I've used it as well. But it's not sponsoring my videos, so we're skipping.
let's get on to the next income tier.
All right, now let's see what we can do with $40,000 a year.
Now my name is Simon. I am the representative of the median American income of a single earner. I make $40,000 a year as an event coordinator at a
Oh, $40,000 a year? Mm-hmm. Now you're living good. You must. I mean, here with $40,000 a year, you're good. You're like very good.
a country club in Atlanta. My $40,000 salary gives me just over $3,000 a month. After federal and state taxes, I'm left with
Here, yeah, you can rent. I mean, if you have to pay taxes off of that, But if you have to pay taxes, then you can rent a house, you can eat, and you can do a little bit, some like stuff, and then you maybe can save like $50 a month. I mean, but it's still good. You don't have to stress.
just under $2,700. Using that same data set, my budget for housing is $1,133. I'm kind of feeling this one-bedroom house. Let's say between rent for this house and my utilities, I'm paying $1,133 for my monthly housing expenses. The country club is kind of far from my house, and because there's no public transportation, I'm gonna need a car. I saved up and purchased this 2011 Subaru Forester on Facebook Marketplace. I got it for $4,500. So like George, I spend about $136 a month just on gas to get to my job. This leaves me with a little over $400 for everything else. Guys gotta eat. What am I gonna do for food? According to the BLS data, someone like me spends around $467 a month on food. I typically spend about $100 a week on groceries and can use the rest on a dinner out or two. I've got a Kroger grocery store 4 minutes away from my house. And at this point, I'm definitely cognizant of every price on these shelves. I'm using coupons, trying to get the best deal, but I have leeway to spend a little bit more on maybe a decent cut of meat or some fresh produce. Maybe I buy organic every once in a while. I can comfortably feed myself if I'm smart about how I spend and I don't eat out too much. This income level is right on the threshold where employers start to sponsor your healthcare plan. They start to subsidize it. That's a thing here in America. And luckily, my employer does. But even still, I spend $300 a month on health, medicine, out-of-pocket doctors, pre-deductible expenses, and now I get to pay for a gym. I signed up for this low-cost gym for $10 a month. So after covering these basic needs, I have $231 left for everything else, all of my other essentials. Laundry, cell phone, internet brings me down to $126. I will try to put some of this away for an emergency or a trip, put it into a savings account with a good interest rate so it will grow over time. But to be honest, I'm probably gonna spend this on entertainment. Like, I wanna go out and have fun. I wanna go to a movie. I wanna subscribe to Hulu and Netflix. I might buy a book, might go out with some friends. And after all of that, I end up around zero. So all in all, I'm doing better than George, but not that much better. I've got some money left over at the end of the month, but an emergency expense would still leave me in debt.
All right, let's up this to 100 grand a year and see what our budget looks like.
Okay, now I'm Tim, and I just found this job in sales. It makes me $100,000 a year. I'm officially in the six figures. I make 4 times more than George and double the median income that Simon makes. I'm now near the top 10% of earners in this country. My salary gives me $8,333 every month. 22.
Oh, $8,330 a month. Now you're living good. I mean, what would I do with $8,033 a month? 300. You could rent a nice house. You could have food and your utilities. You could have, Netflix, internet, whatever you want, and you might even be able to save up a few thousand, maybe.
200 of that is gonna go to taxes, and I'm left with just over 6 grand.
Oh yeah, taxes. Oh, in Spain, if you made that much money, you would have to pay more than half of it in taxes, most likely, because Spain is painful.
In this income bracket, you see that people spend around 30% of their income on housing. Until recently, this salary would have been more than enough to buy a house, but these days, not so much. But for the case of our assumption, let's assume that I, Tim, have been saving for 10 years and I'm finally ready to purchase my first home. Zillow is telling me that I can afford a house that's around $314,000. I'm gonna buy this nice 1-bedroom townhouse in Atlanta. It's got these nice wood floors, all of this natural light.
Damn, look at that house. Wow. Yeah, okay.
Oh wait, no. Looks like there's a condo fee. $426 per month. Probably for that fancy workout room. Okay, we're gonna have to keep looking. Okay, I found one. It's a 1-bedroom condo. It's got a fireplace, access to a pool and a fitness room. It's in a pretty good location, and it's just under $260,000. With the condo fee, I'll be paying
What?
in a pretty good location, and it's just under $260,000.
260,000 only? What? That's mad. That's so cheap. Wait, am I bugging out? No, that cannot be. $260,000, so like 250,000 euros. That's pretty cheap, honestly. And in the center?
With the condo fee, I'll be paying around $2,700 per month, which is about 32% of my income for housing. I get to spend more on housing than George and Simon make in a month. Oh, and by the way, I will have to cough up $20,000, which is my whole savings, for a 5% down payment and closing costs to make this house purchase. Thanks to my good credit, I can qualify for a good car loan that allows me to buy this beauty, a $50,000 BMW. It'll cost me $754 a month for 5 years, and it will leave me with $579 every month to spend on gas, repairs, and insurance. I'm even starting to be able to afford to bring it to a professional car wash place, get it detailed every couple months. I am upper middle class now, so I only have to pay 11% of my income on food per month just to feed myself. I get to eat out a lot more lately. When I'm at the grocery store, I get to peruse the fresh and nutritious food much more abundantly. I can buy nice meat and nice produce. I'm not overly concerned about the prices. And lately, since meal delivery apps have become more common, I'm ordering DoorDash like once or twice a week. I'm starting to be able to use money to save myself time and stress. My job pays for a lot of my health insurance, and yet I still pay $500 a month on health, medicine, and these kind of expensive supplements I've been buying. I'm able to save money at this point so that a minor medical emergency isn't a huge deal. But the doctors I do go to have to be covered by my insurance plan. I can't go out of network. It would be too expensive to pay out of pocket. With all my big expenses covered, I still have $665 to cover Wi-Fi, unlimited data on my phone, and since laundry and a gym are in my apartment, I actually don't need to use much cash for that. So even after all of these essentials, I have money to save and invest. And even still, I have cash left over to go out with friends. Every few months, I'm able to save up enough to go on vacation. My work pays me even when I'm taking time off, so I don't need to worry about that. I do have to strategically choose my
Okay, but if you realistically, if you had that type of money, wouldn't you live like the previous people and then save? Or because you're gonna end up in zero anyways if you just, find ways to spend it.
travel locations to make sure that they're affordable. Because I chose a cheaper place, I'm able to enjoy drinks and food while I'm there. When I come home, I do have to save and scrounge for a couple of months to
Fendi just scared the crap out of me. Are you done? That scared me so bad. Okay, guys, we had to take a little breather because the neighbors were upsetting Fendi. So, but we're back now.
while I'm there. When I come home, I do have to save and scrounge for a couple of months to recuperate, but it's not too stressful. Not bad, and in fact, much better than the vast majority of Americans.
All right, now let's up this to $1 million a year and see what our budget starts to look like.
Hi, my name is Noah. I am a junior managing director at a big private equity fund. I'm in finance.
I'm looking for a man in finance.
I work 70 hours a week. I make big deals. They're very important. And I am earning $1 million a year. That is $83,000 a month. After taxes, it's more like $48,000 a month.
What do you even do with $48,000 a month? I wouldn't know how to spend that much.
In 1 month, I'm making double what George makes in an entire year. In 3 years, I'll make more than he makes in an entire lifetime. I've got some serious money to work with here. Like, I'm officially among the top 1% of income earners in this country. And I'm very lucky because my income and wealth are increasing at a faster rate than everyone else's. And we'll see why in just a second. Making this much money, I can get a really nice house by spending 28% of my income, which means I can afford around a $2.6 million house. Wow, this one's kind of nice. This 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom home in this quiet Atlanta suburb. Man, it is nice here. Look at this kitchen. Oh, and this beautiful yard out here. I might pick up croquet. And it even comes with this little friend. Hey, bud. I've always wanted my own taxidermy fox. This house is gonna cost me around $19,000 every month for the mortgage and other expenses, like house cleaners that come once a week to clean my entire house and do my laundry. My yard
Imagine that.
is maintained by a local landscaping company. I'm spending 16% of my income on transportation, which means a little over $13,000 a month on everything cars and planes. Instead of owning a car, I lease one. and 3-year periods so that I can always be driving the newest, fanciest car. Like this Rivian, it's gonna cost me about $1,000 a month all in. I can totally afford that. I'm also taking a lot of taxis lately because I can afford it, and I can afford a private driver here and there, though I don't have a full-time private driver. I can hop on a flight too whenever I want. And when I fly internationally, I even splurge on business class. Still pretty expensive, but I've
Good lord.
got all of these airline miles that I've racked up from all of my work travel that I actually get upgraded for free often. And now I'm actually pretty hungry, so let's talk about food. My budget for food has ballooned. Based on the BLS data, I could technically afford to spend $8,000 on food every month. But I'm not sure that's totally common among this income bracket. There's not a ton of good data on like the 1%ers. So I estimate that somebody in this bracket is spending more like $3,500 per month on food, which is still a lot. I'm officially
How do you even spend that much a month on food? I mean, I could. I like cheese. Cheese is expensive. I could buy like some nice Parmesan and some other cheeses. Good cheddar. But how? I mean, if you eat out every night, maybe. But that would be kind of, no, I don't know. Okay.
deep in the don't look at food prices, don't shop for my own groceries, don't worry about ordering takeout whenever I want kind of rich. I could pay 20 bucks for a salad. I could pay $16 for a smoothie. I could even drop $300 per person on a nice restaurant and not really be too stressed about it. Now, I can't afford a private chef yet, but I have opted for a high-end meal service that delivers dinners to my house. I have to work a lot. The difference is that per hour, my hours are much more financially valuable. George, Simon, and Tim all had to spend a lot of their hours cooking and cleaning and traveling around, but I can just pay to get a lot of that time back. I could technically afford to spend $4,000 a month on health, but again, we estimate that it's a little bit lower, more like $2,500.
That I could probably spend that much on health, as in like I would probably go to a hair salon more often and get my skin taken care of, and you know, like things like that, nails. But still, that's a lot.
Which would still mean a totally different healthcare world. I can go to any doctor, I can pay for a therapist out of pocket, I can easily afford to see a specialist for any kind of preventative care, physical therapy, elective surgeries, even stuff that isn't covered by my very good insurance. I can pay for it. I can pay out of pocket, and it's not too crazy for me. And even though I have a gym in my house because I converted one of the mini rooms into a gym, I actually pay for another nice gym membership at this luxury spa and gym so that I can use their hot tub and sauna. I also get in on their personal trainers who are really great. I recently signed up for this fancy doctor's office where I pay a monthly fee and I never have to wait more than 10 minutes in the waiting room. Remember, my time is
Ooh, that would be nice. Okay, I could do that. I could definitely do that. Go to a doctor and wait less than 10 minutes. Ooh, sign me up. I need to wait for like 4 hours in the emergency room if I need to see a doctor. Yeah.
extremely valuable. And this is one reason why my life expectancy is way up here. I'm probably gonna live 7 or 8 years longer than George. Laundry, cell phone bills, Wi-Fi, these are all negligible costs for me. I'm left with at least $10,000, and it could be way more if I reduced some of these assumptions, like spending thousands of dollars every month on food for just me. So what do I do with all this leftover money? Well, I do have a semi-complicated investment portfolio that I love to talk about. My money is in the stock market, 24/7, growing, compounding into more and more wealth. It allows my wealth to grow much faster than those who don't have extra money to invest. I go on vacations, though they do get interrupted by work. My job is very important. For international trips, I do sometimes splurge on business class tickets so I can lay down on the flight. What's interesting though is that even at this crazy income bracket, people can still blow their money every month, trying to keep up with their expanding lifestyle.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, no matter how much money you'd make, you'll find ways to spend it. But I mean, I just don't see a way of spending that much money a month. I mean, yeah. I mean, if you buy like cars and I guess, but still, that's a lot of money.
But let's be clear, they're living unrecognizable lives to the previous income tiers we've talked about. So let's see what happens next.
All right, now let's see what happens when we turn this into $25 million a year, which is an amount.
Oh my goodness, I forgot completely that this was a thing.
Amount of money that some people in this country actually make every year. Let's see what their budget looks like.
My name is Robert. You'll never hear about me because I am the owner of a highly successful national car wash chain. Or maybe I'm the CEO of Zillow or Chevron. Or maybe I'm a pretty famous celebrity and I make $25 million a year. Noah was already in the top 1% of income earners, but now I am truly in the ranks of the global elite. And we need to pause and talk about how rich people think about their wealth. At this point, we have to start to rethink money because people at this income bracket think less about their yearly salary and more about the total value of all of the stuff they own, their net worth. Most of my pay is in stocks, not cash. I spend money knowing that I have all of these assets that I could sell if needed, even if it doesn't come to me in a paycheck every month, which is actually really great because I'm not taxed on this stuff unless I sell it for cash. And even then I'm taxed at like 15 to 20%, which means that in a lot of years, my tax rate will be less than Tim, who makes $100,000. I'm paying less of my income in taxes than he is. This is very good for my net worth. So let's see what I can buy. Now, given my gargantuan income, I could technically afford this house. It has a pool, it's got this really cool statue, and this garden that looks like it's straight out of Princess Diaries.
I don't want to be a princess!
But because I'm planning to buy my summer house in Italy this year, I'm gonna go with something a little bit more modest like this one.
A little bit more modest? Look at that house. Do you even have the time to go to each room in a year? That is so pretty though. Okay, I could do that, yeah. Yeah, I could do that. Okay, I could. Yeah, I could live there. But still, god damn.
I really like this house. The doorknob in the shape of someone's hand, the animal print details, the golf room. I love this golf room. I mean, what can I say? I'm Robert.
There's a golf simulator in the house.
Details, the golf room.
Guys, how many people can live there? How many people can live there? What if you buy it like with 20 other people?
Love this golf room. I mean, what can I say? I'm Robert. I'm an eccentric boy. This house has a pool, it's got a gym, it's got this wooden tub, which is something I never thought I needed, but I absolutely do. What you'll start to see with this house and everything else in this income bracket is how it allows me to physically isolate myself from the concerns that most people have. I don't have to think about crime, homelessness, noise, pollution. I can live surrounded only by people who are wealthy like me. Getting around is really easy for me. I've got a couple of cars, I rotate driving them every once in a while, except for this one. This one I don't drive because it's an antique and I just like to look at it. Oh, and did I mention I have a full-time driver? I pay him $51,000 a year. He whisks me around from important meeting to important meeting. I'm spending 2 times what George makes in a year to pay for this.
I could not have my own driver. I would feel so bad for them.
And it's totally worth it because it saves me time. When I travel, he drives me right onto the runway where I jump into a private jet. Now, I don't own this jet yet, but I do charter private flights. Like when I need to fly from Atlanta to New York, it costs me about $27,000 for this 2-hour flight. I can easily do that. 27 grand feels to me what $43 feels like to Simon. I'll pay that for a nice private jet. Now, I don't fly private all of the time. I do fly commercial.
Yikes.
If I'm going on vacation to Paris, I'll be flying first class, obviously. I have a separate security checkpoint, my own lounge, and when I get on the plane, I get one of those little cabins all to myself. By the way, this ticket cost me $31,000. When I get to Paris, I usually book the penthouse in one of my favorite hotels. I have hotel staff available at any moment. Do I cook? No, I do not cook. I enter grocery stores only when I feel like it would be fun to feel like a regular person for a moment.
Hey, chef, do you want to cut this up for her?
And yet, magically, when I open my refrigerator, everything I need is in there. It's all been fully designed by my nutritionist, purchased by my house manager, prepared by my personal chef. And yes, you can see I have a whole staff of people who help me manage my life. My house manager is really good at just making this all disappear.
I could do that, but at the same time, I could not do that. I'd feel so bad for everyone. Like, I would not be able to, you know, most likely. Yeah.
here. Like the landscaping gets done, the pool gets cleaned, and a bunch of other stuff that I don't even know. I'm sure all of this costs a lot of money, but honestly, I've never even thought about it. I've got my friends over, and our personal chef is putting together a beautiful meal, and he's even doing the wine pairing tonight, selected from my collection of quirky cult wines in my temperature-controlled cellar. I don't pay attention to prices for food or wine, except when knowing the price of this bottle, for example, helps confirm how rare and special it is. I think we spent $16,000 on this bottle. Or this other one that I splurged on for $150,000. I go out to restaurants, but it's a little different than the rest of the world. I have connections that allow me to get into the private back room of whatever restaurant I want. Okay, this is insane. And while these costs are very feasible for someone who makes $25 million, not everyone who earns this much money lives like this. In fact, a lot of super rich people are incredibly frugal, making their high earnings that much more impactful because they can get rich much faster. But what we see with Robert is that you actually could spend this much money on food and housing given your income, and many do. So in addition to my nutritionist and chef, I have a personal trainer and health coach who comes to my house every day and guides me through my workout. He even travels with me to keep me exercising while I'm on the road. I have a private doctor who is on call, who comes to my house. I pay her 20 grand a year just to be on call. She's available, and she'll come do whatever I need, like a quick steroid shot to my bum knee before I play a game of tennis. My healthcare is mostly preventative. I get all the scans and tests and routines done to ensure that I'm in tip-top shape. I can afford any surgery or healthcare routine or procedure that I want. And last year, I fully replaced all of my front teeth with veneers. It only cost me $28,000. And remember, $28,000 for me.
I don't know how to react to this. What am I supposed to say? I mean,
is what it feels like when Tim spends $112, or what George feels like spending $28. Not nothing, but not a huge deal. Even after spending on all of this, I still have lots of money that my financial manager funnels into sophisticated investment portfolios that just keep on growing. Investing can be really fun for me at this point. I'll just take 30 grand here and there to buy collector's items that I'm into. A couple weeks ago, I paid $5,000 for this authentic World War II helmet. This piece of art cost me 50 grand, but it's a great investment because the artist is actually gonna be the next big thing. So this stuff is fun, but it also contributes to my net worth because all of this retains and grows in value. And my clever accountant has recently mentioned,
does someone want to buy my barriers? 30,000. They've been on my head a few times. Collector's item. That would be crazy.
that he
Aren't there, like, imagine like actually famous people can sell anything. Like, there's people who would buy, you know, their toilet paper roll for $50,000 just because it's theirs. How crazy is that? I mean, how easy is making money by then?
found a way to occasionally sell this stuff and get a nice tax break on the profits. Now listen, I make a meaningful difference in my community with philanthropy. Like, I'm donating $500,000 to my family foundation, which is promoting education in the city. Funneling money and assets into this foundation allows me to get some really nice tax breaks, helps me avoid capital gains tax.
I think this would be my like greatest or biggest in like kind of where my money would go. I would probably just gift it, which is not very good business wise, but I don't know.
And it gives me a buzz of feeling like I'm a generous millionaire. I even donated a few $100,000 to my nephew's private school last year. They didn't really need the money, but now they're putting my name at the top of their donor list, which is like really great. And even after all of this, I've got tons of leftover income. I'm easily able to cover the mortgage on my secondary property in Lake Como. It's only $30,000 a month. And the views here are just chef's kiss. I mean, look at it. One of my favorite parts about this level of wealth is how much access I now have to obscure elite clubs, like this one in New York called Core. I had to pay 50 grand for an initiation fee and then $17,000 annually, but it allows me to rub shoulders with really important people. And yes, there are echelons above me that someday maybe I'll reach, but I'm still existing on a fully different plane than most every single person in the world. Almost every stressor that you can think of, I can pay away. And the ones that I can't pay away, like heartbreak, grief, and social anxiety, I won't be able to pay that away at any level of wealth. I am protected financially from just about any emergency that could occur in my life. And so long as I manage my finances responsibly, I will never experience life below this level of wealth.
The difference between these levels of income is kind of hard to fathom. If you're in the $25 million camp, you make more in 1 hour than George makes in 6 months. In just one 8-hour work.
I think it would be great to make a series of billionaires or millionaires living off of a normal person's monthly income for like maybe 3 months to see how they go by.
Day, you're making more than George makes in 4 years.
100 years ago, the divide between the rich and the poor was incredibly stark in this country. The top 1% would bring home 20% of all of the income. But then look what happened. We kind of fixed it. We taxed the super rich. The working class organized and rose up, fighting for fair pay. And by the 1980s, it was more like 10% of the income went to the top 1%. But watch what happens next. We're going back up, and we're leaving people like George in a trap. It's not hard to see why someone like George would have lost faith in our government and our institutions and the concept of an American dream. The system is not working for George. Each cost leads to another cost, creating a poverty trap with no chance of getting out. Expensive housing far from work means a car. A car means maintenance and insurance and fuel, which means less money for food and healthcare. He makes too much for government assistance on any of this. How is George supposed to have the time, the money, or even the brain space to think about school or improving his skills? His social mobility is limited. We often think about America as this land of opportunity. If you work hard, you can move up. But the data shows us that that just isn't the case anymore. For someone like George, or for the tens of millions of Americans like him, the gap is getting wider, and it's getting harder to close. And that's bad. Not just bad because it's unfair, but it's bad for our economy. It's bad for our politics. And it's bad for the 44 million people who live in the richest country in the world, but don't have enough food every day. The people who only have access to credit via predatory lenders. The people whose lives are rocked when they get a $25 overdraft fee, or who can't afford an oil change. It's time for the people in charge in this country to do what they did 100 years ago and reverse this curve before it becomes too late.
Top 1% hold nearly 10 times more wealth than the bottom 50% combined.
A staggering $5 trillion in wealth is set to be passed on without a dime of taxes. Oxfam is warning this accumulation of wealth in the hands of so few could exacerbate political divides, cause corruption, and impact economic growth worldwide.
Yeah, that was a very good video. I mean, there's a lot of like opinions, I'm guessing, about taxes and all of that, and I'm not one to opinionate on American taxes, but at least here where I live, the tax rate is so crazy for even for like smaller businesses that it's nearly impossible for you to even like get anywhere or do anything. So yeah, I mean, I definitely do hope that that gets fixed worldwide because it's very unfair. Here, for example, small businesses, if you made, like, I think I said it before, like if you made like $3,000 a month, you'd be left with probably $1,500, which is not enough to even go by. And then you have to pay for having a business, and you have to pay for blah, blah, blah. It's just impossible. So, yeah, but I don't know. But that's a very interesting video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below, guys. Thank you for joining me for this video. I hope you liked it. Please leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next one.